So we're in Hyde Park here. Been a very busy morning already for you two guys. You've had, I think, Radio 1, Radio 5, Radio 2, BBC TV. So we're, what, 36 hours or so on from the big event. How are you guys feeling this morning?
Pretty cold this morning. It is amazing how cold it is here, because it was cold on Sunday, but it's very fresh. But my legs are okay. Just disappointed really for me, because it's, you know, I'm so close really, and Alistair's not made that any easier. Got me tactical numping things, but yeah, it was so close and it's hard to take, because the World Series, you know, we competed in, what was it, 4 events before, and then the Grand Final as well, so it's a whole season, and it come down to that's been finished, which is quite tough.
Yeah, so it's really whole season was 1 second. So
yeah, it was, yeah.
So Alistair, obviously you had struggled on the run there. How's the ankle and the foot and everything?
It's really sore today, but you know, it's a few days after the race. It's going to be, I think. But fortunately, I've got a bit of time off now to get it sorted. I'm going to have some scans on it and see some people about it, and just hopefully get it right, so I can crack on with a proper winters of training.
Yeah. One of the things I was amazed about, if we look at your season, Alistair, you had basically 4 World Series races, 3 wins, 1 second to that pesky brother who managed to just get the better of you in Hamburg. In a sprint finish, where you weren't a tactical enough to. Yet, even before this weekend, you sort of described the season as a bit of a nightmare really, and there's pretty much everybody, perhaps other than Javier and Jonathan, would love to have your nightmare season. So just explain, you know, why you felt it was a nightmare despite the top line results.
Well, it's just been really tough since I started with Abu Dhabi, raced there, and then went on to San Diego. And in San Diego, I was getting fit, but I wasn't, you know, really in great shape. And I was standing on the start line there, thinking I'm not going to do another race ever again, feeling so prepared. And that's the most prepared I've been all year, I think. And then I raced in Stanford the week after that. It was great. I wanted to do that. And then in the weeks after that, I started having a bit of a niggle with my ankle. Initially my Achilles that I kind of treated, worked on, and that went away. And then since then I've just had one thing after another in that same ankle, and I kind of made the decision to try and, you know, kind of short-termist. I really wanted to do Kitzbühel. That was soon after that. Did Kitzbühel, was just about fit enough to get away with Hamburg. After Hamburg I had to have another 2 weeks of not doing much. Had a couple of weeks. So it's just all year I've had a bit of training. Things have returned to normality. I've just wanted to go out and race, and then something else has gone wrong, and that's just been it for the last 4 months really. So it's been tough, probably mentally as much as physically actually, just because not having that consistency and not being able to do what I enjoy doing, which is racing and racing when I'm fit. Yeah.
So does that sort of suggest, as much as the results are great and obviously winning and you know, everything that comes with that, the motivation as much as anything is you want to be at your best and feel great and to be able to perform to the level that you want is almost more important than the results.
Yeah, the results are obviously important, and everyone wants to win races, but really the motivation for going and training every day and learning how to train differently and doing things differently is making yourself as good as you can be, and I think that's what performance is, and obviously the results follow from that. But yeah, I don't really get a lot of pleasure out of training just for the sake of training to kind of rush for the next race and so on really. So yeah, it's all about improvement and making yourself as good as you can be.
Yeah, so Johnny, the race on Sunday, from my perspective, and I had sort of literally the grandstand seat, I had the microphone here, on-site commentary, it was absolutely incredible. While you're actually in the race, do you have any perception of what it's actually going to look like from outside? Because I've got relatives of mine who don't do triathlon, they were emailing me going, I was on the edge of my seat, it was staggering. Or are you just so engrossed that you have no idea of actually the show that you guys are actually putting on?
No, before the race starts, we always talk about wanting to put on a good show, but when you're actually in the race, I'm trying to win really. I'm not thinking about, oh, what if I go now, making more interesting, anything like that. Definitely not. I want it to win, and I was doing everything I could to win, and that involved, obviously, it did make it quite exciting because you get to change in the lead, but it was a great event here on Sunday. The amount of people that came to watch was incredible, because last year, obviously, here when we were here at 7th of August, there was thousands of people, and we thought that it couldn't be anywhere near as good, but it was really good event to have the home crowd.
The crowds were incredible. I think no one quite expected the crowds to be, but it was probably 4 or 5 people around the run, and yeah, I had plenty of opportunity to take it in, and they were brilliant even to me, and I was jogging around, so it was the crowd made it really special again.
Yeah, it's great. It was a really good event. It's great to be back.
Yeah. One of the things that always sort of I noticed with you guys, having known you for a few years, day to day you're pretty quiet, relatively reserved guys, but something seems to happen. You get on the race course, particularly on the bike, and you just turn into these aggressive animals, dare I say, particularly Alistair, and you guys were screaming at that front group, giving them no quarter arse. You wanted everybody to be putting the work in. Are you actually conscious you're doing that, or is that just comes out naturally because you just want a fair race and a hard race, and that's just what you guys want?
Absolutely. The problem is that group was a bit big, really. I think there was 13 or 14 people in it, wasn't there? Which is a bit big for a group to be really working well. And it can work well, and you should be flying around a course like this with that kind of group. But the problem is, as soon as you've got one person on the back who's not coming through and doing a turn, the whole thing falls apart. And that was the problem, really. And if all 14 people are working, you're going real fast and you're not even really going very hard. So it's just about trying to motivate people in every way, just to come through, and even just, I think some people don't really know what they're doing some of the time, do they? And so that's what we're just trying to do, really, motivate people to show everyone does not even a fair show work. I don't mind, but it's just making sure everyone does something.
It helps them as well, though, of course, because they get to the run and they're 40 seconds ahead of people, so they got a great result. And some people did work well, like the Australian guys, Royal. This was his best races he's had all year, because he worked really well, and he was trying to get people to work as well, and because of that, he came. I don't know where he came in the end, but he's top Australian, and he qualified for the Commonwealth.
Yeah, Commonwealth.
So it can work for people, but like Alistair says, it only takes just that one person, and then everyone else thinks, oh well, he's not going through, so I'm not going through. But it's tough. Like 14 is too many. I think it was 10 people would have been better.
We saw you towards certainly the last 3 or couple of laps. You were trying to make a few breaks, Alistair. Was that? Did you feel that you had the opportunity to possibly try and do what you did in Stockholm, or was there any teamwork going on, or trying to maybe knowing perhaps when you got to the run it wasn't going to be your day, maybe get Gomez to work and set it up for Johnny? What was the thinking there the last couple of laps when you were putting that?
A bit of everything, really. Obviously, if I had the chance to get away, that would have been good. I knew even if I was going to run the first bit, the run was going to be really hard on my ankle. So while it warmed up, so I thought if I had the chance of getting away, that'd be good. But also I knew that if I'm away on the front, Johnny's not going to be chasing, which probably means that Gomez is going to have to be doing most of the work to catch me, which is a good thing. He's going to tire him out as well. And I also knew that I wanted to keep it fast as well, and if I wasn't going to run that well, I was making sure that we weren't going to get caught from behind. And that's why even when I get caught, I was doing a fair amount on the front, just trying to keep the pace high as well. But yeah, I think it's a good tactic. That's the kind of thing we can really use against almost anyone else if we want to, to try and get other guys to do work.
We saw you when you got off the bike, you did sort of 5 or 6 steps, and then your face changed. This absolute agony came on. Was it a real sharp shooting pain, because you just instantly just looked like you were in an absolute world of pain when you came off the bike just before you're going to rack it?
Well, I was really sore. It's a tendon in the middle of my ankle that gets stuck in a bit of bone where it goes for a tunnel, basically. And so you can imagine when it's cold, it's really like sticky, and so yeah, as soon as my feet were freezing, everyone knows who rides a bike, your feet get freezing cold, and then hitting basically tarmac with no shoes on was absolute agony. And then for the first kilometre of the run it was sore, but then it really warmed up probably for all the way around to the end of the first lap. I was catching people, ran back up to 5th, was catching the guys in 3rd and 4th, thought I'm going to be alright here, conscious not to put too much effort in, I would have been delighted to come 3rd. And then just started getting sore again, and there's not a lot I could do.
What goes through your mind at the beginning of the run, Johnny? Because you're so used to, you two guys always go, like a bullet from the start of the run. You're very often running side by side. You go out as normal, Javier sort of right on your shoulder. You see Alistair, at that point, relatively jogging the first couple of 100 metres. Are you able to put that out of your mind, or was that perhaps maybe what you're expecting? Obviously, you've seen what Alistair's gone through in training of late.
Well, I expected that, to be honest with you, because I've seen, well, I've not seen Alistair in training. I've seen him in his absence in training, really. So he hasn't really run for the last 2 weeks, so I knew that he wasn't going to run that well. But it's something that I need to learn, because I'm used to Alistair going off so hard and I just have them follow, and that normally splits the race up completely, whereas this time I was the one pushing the pace, and it's hard to know how hard you should push it. And but the first bit of the run's always weird. because you want to start running fast, but again you don't want to go too fast, and I was quite cold getting off the bike, and I knew that everyone else would be as well, so I knew I could hurt people there, but at the same time I was quite cold and stiff, so I couldn't push it too much, and then you just want to settle down after the first K or so. But yeah, so the first bit was tough. It was quite windy as well, the first bit of the run here, so I was conscious I didn't want to run too much on the front there, but again it was the first bit of the run, so I wanted to push it. Yeah,
and we saw you, Alistair, so late on everyone talks about you almost stopping and cheering Johnny on, but I noticed, I think it was actually almost the first lap going over the bridge as he came back, you were already signalling then, so you obviously had an idea of what might be happening probably 9.5k later at that point, and you're trying to get your message across very early, weren't you?
He was just trying to help out.
Well, I knew, I could see, I knew it was very windy. The race was completely split up already. You know, it was the group at the front that split up. There was Johnny and Gomez that already had a bit of a lead, and Johnny was there leading and pushing it, which is, I think, fair enough. But I just could kind of see a bit that if Johnny was pushing the race on, and Johnny likes to lead and kind of push it on, but without actually, you know, making an actual move, and I could just see it coming down to the last bit, and whereas, you know, I just wanted Johnny to kind of sit behind Gomez and see what happened more.
Through that run, my perception was you seemed to be swapping the leads a little bit. It was almost like, I think I described it as like almost a bit of a boxing match. There was some sparring, and then the sparring moved, and the punches sort of got a bit heavier and heavier until we got to the final straight, and then it was the real sort of slugfest, if you like. Is that sort of how you saw it as well?
Yeah, it was. We kept making moves really, but I couldn't break Gomez at all, and he couldn't break me. And he made one big one actually just up here, and then he only pushed it for about 10 seconds, and I thought, okay, so he's not going to be able to drop me now. But I think because the run course was quite flat and fast and not many turns, it's quite hard to drop someone unless you're much better than them. So maybe I should have realised that it was going to come down to sprint finish a little bit earlier, because he had definitely settled for a sprint finish with about 2k to go, because I expected him to push it. I was like, okay, wait for him to go, and then I'll just sit on him.
Okay to go. Were you feeling relatively confident, because you've always been pretty confident in your sprint finish, and as you say, historically, even though Javier beat you last year in Auckland with 2k to go, expecting that sprint finish, at that point you're still pretty much feeling, yeah, I think I can do this.
Yeah, I was really confident about 2k to go, because I've got quite a good track pace, and in some finishes I destroyed Javier, but I thought I could do it. But maybe the stupid mistake that I probably made was going to the front at about 4 minutes to go. I should have really sat behind him a little bit longer and then just come past him like he did to me.
The issue wasn't going to the front, it's that you just went to the front without making a move. If you'd made a move there, you know, anything you do in the last 500 metres has to be pretty decisive really. There's no point just going to the front for the sake of going to the front, and I think that was where I was exactly where I was standing. I saw him do it, and when you just see someone slide past them like that, I was like, oh no.
So I guess you couldn't obviously see the finish, but you maybe were fearing what might happen.
Yeah, well, I was waiting. I could see him go round into the finishing straight, and Johnny was still just leading there. But yeah, obviously I couldn't see the last bit.
So is it actually pain when you're on that finish straight? You're going for that sprint finish, and you're giving absolutely everything. Is it actually feel pain, or is it no pain, but you're just trying to get every bit of speed out? What's the actual feeling that last 50 metres when you are literally side by side, you can see the line, you've got probably 7 seconds of racing left, and you still don't know who's going to win?
Oh, it's painful, and I was trying as hard as I could, and I was concentrating on getting my legs turned over as quick as I could and looking at the finish line. You just want the finish line to get closer, and then the worst feeling in the world is when you feel someone come past you.
You're going as fast as you can.
And you're going absolutely fast as you can, and someone comes past you, and there's absolutely nothing you do. So he kind of came past me with, I don't know, 10 metres to go and got in front of me, and I knew then there's nothing I could do, and that's the worst feeling in the world, because my arms just tightened up, then the whole body just gave up then, and that's mentally. But again, there's nothing I could have done, and yeah, it is the worst feeling in the world.
And let's just have a quick word about Javier. I know we spoke to Alistair last year after the Olympics, and he spoke very, very highly of him, as you've done over the years, but he's proven he's an absolute class act. I think the last 6 World Championships have gone something like Gomez, Brownlee, Gomez, Brownlee, Gomez. Yeah. You know, it says everything about where the power, if you like, of ITU racing is. But he's raised the game again to probably to try and come back to the levels that you've been setting the last couple of years, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a great athlete. One thing that's very impressive about this year is I think he's gone at a decent level. He's trained at a decent level for the first few races of the season, but then after Hamburg, before Stockholm, there was 4 or 5 weeks of training there, and that's all it took for him to go from a decent athlete to an awesome athlete. So he's very good at knowing what training he needs to do, and knowing his body, because he's experienced now, and the amount he's raced as well. He's been to Hy-Vee and he's done non-drafting races and won there, and 70.3s as well. So he is an incredible athlete, and he's got no weaknesses. Like we know at the start of the swim, he's likely to make the front group and be very, very unlikely to miss that group. On the bike, he did his fair share of the work on the bike. He didn't miss many turns. And on the run, obviously, he's a great runner, so he's a great athlete. And he's a nice guy as well, so that always helps.
Yeah. So for you guys, I know you've got a little event of your own coming up this Saturday. Was due to be a head-to-head, so are you going to claim victory now, Johnny, or is Alistair going to get some ringers in for a relay team to try and take you on?
He'll probably find a fast team somewhere. Maybe, I don't know, he can swim, can get a cycling friend, and then, I don't know, speak to Mo, get Mo to do the run. But I don't know, yeah, it's going to be a great event. It should be a celebration of the whole year, really, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it's going to be a bit warmer. I did picture this beautiful end of summer day in Fountains Abbey, but it looks like it's going to be a bit chillier, but hopefully nice and sunny, so it'll be nice.
Yeah, well, I look forward to being up there and being a small part of it. And just for everybody, I just want to say a huge thank you, not just for the events of Sunday, but for the whole season. It's been fantastic. We're often used to post-Olympic year standards maybe go down a bit, people go off do different things, but if anything, I think the bar's been raised once again, and you guys are part of that, so great stuff. Thank you very much, and we look forward to watching you in 2014.
Cheers, thank you.